Welcome to Failed Forward, a podcast for professionals who are wondering, how the hell did I get here?
Join your host, Rachel Durkin, and me, Donna Miller, as we discuss the messy, bumpy, and often unattractive journey to success.
After all, if it isn't hard to do, is it really worth doing? Hello, everyone. I'm Rachel Durkin, and this is Failed Forward, the podcast for those of us wondering, how the hell did I get here? As I mentioned, I'm Rachel Durkin with Paradigm Marketing and Design. We are a web branding, marketing, and sales enablement agency that specializes in working with clients with a complex sale. So if you have a sales team and you want to increase the number of quality meetings they're having and shortening their sales cycle, we can help build marketing to sales infrastructures that support that endeavor. And I am joined today by my lovely and talented co-host, Donna Miller.
Yes, I am Donna Miller. I am Chief Visionary Officer at C3 Workplace and founder at Donna Miller Business Growth Consulting. And for nearly 30 years, we've been helping companies to accelerate their growth by providing business advisory and support services around finance, operations, and biz dev. Our clients know that by coming to us, we will build integrated, efficient systems that either they or we can help them to execute on. And that allows them to focus on that which truly drives their business forward. So we are delighted to be here today with the fabulous Sarah Krom from, okay, I'm going to say it, I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to, my favorite accounting firm, SKC Entrepreneurs Accounting Firm, and they really are. And in my 30 years of being in business, I have only come across a handful of accountants that really get and have the ability to translate the numbers from the books to what it means to running your business. And Sarah, I think you and your team are excellent at that. So I know I've said a little bit, but tell us who you are, what you do.
Yes, thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Donna. I'm so happy to be here. As it was said, I'm Sarah Krom, managing partner of SKC & Co. CPAs. We are a 25-person firm located predominantly in New Jersey, although we have a California office and a few remote folks in some other states. We work only with entrepreneur business owners, and we focus on tax, on strategy, and on consulting services that help both them personally as business owners and help their businesses. A few more bullet points on me from a professional standpoint. I was also the 2018-2019 NJCPA president. And this year I was on the 2024 inaugural Forbes top 200 CPAs in the country list. So that is my quick and short resume.
So Sarah, you have accomplished so much. You're so well respected, and your company is so well respected in our area. And we were talking before we started recording about, how the concept of this podcast is to talk about how it's not always easy, and we make it look easy, but it's not always easy. And you mentioned, I live in my own head. And I'm like, well, on the outside, you look great. But tell us a little bit about some obstacles you faced along the way. Was it always this easy?
No.
It's still easy.
Actually, I will say, and sort of kind of preparing for this, the most recent obstacle, which is probably one of the biggest ones that I think I've faced so far in my professional career, and I told my husband it was my midlife crisis. Mm-hmm. And it was sort of this, I guess, struggle with the momentum that I had been maintaining. So as soon as I got out of college, I was very excited about what my goals were. I was very clear I wanted to be in public accounting. I wanted to be a partner. I achieved that by 31. By 32, I was managing partner. By 35, I was the youngest and third female in 120 years of presidents at the NJCPA. So I kind of, all that finished, I looked around and I thought to myself, well, I checked off everything on the to-do list. What am I supposed to do now? And at that point,
what do you want to do now?
Well, exactly. And so I wasn't even 40 yet. And I kind of got stuck in a little bit of a rut where I was just sort of doing the day-to-day and running the firm and, kind of doing the muscle memory of what I knew to do, but I wasn't really striving for anything. I mean, I had already gotten my master's in tax a few years back, and I just really struggled with what the heck was next for me and for my professional goals.
And how did you deal with that? Or did you deal with it yet?
So it's a work in progress.
Yeah.
I phoned a lot of friends. I
Mhm.
reached out to a lot of colleagues. I have a lot of really good friends who are in the profession, and some friends who are sort of not in the profession. And I did a lot of sort of phone calls with them. I did a short mini retreat with myself and trying to pull myself together, which was very hard to get quiet time alone, just
Mhm.
me to figure that out. But I've worked, I would say 70% through it by now with
Mhm.
those two forms of support.
I
You
feel
know,
like, oh, sorry, Donna.
I can really relate to that, Sarah, because, I tell people at this point, I'm in the fourth quarter of my career, and the momentum or the pace, I've had a hard time adjusting my own pace.
Hmm.
Like I'm just trying to move a little slower and do a little less.
We're
You
not
would
wired
think,
that way.
you would think it would be so easy. It's really not. So I can really relate to that, and I'm sure our audience can as well.
I had the exact same thing. I was going to say, I'm probably at halftime with Sarah, and you run so fast and so hard for so long. And I don't know about you, Sarah, but mine's a little bit a combination of boredom and burnout. And like, I don't know that I have the strength and the energy at the moment to tackle something new anyway.
Right.
So I'm like, do I want to be bored or do I want burnout? And you have to reevaluate what you want, because sometimes you can only sprint for so long before you collapse, right? Didn't that first marathon dude die in Athens? Is that the story?
Yeah.
Oh.
You
It's
know,
very true. I mean,
Mhm.
you get to a point, and again, I'm 41 right now, and I looked back at all these wonderful things I accomplished and all the people that I've met and the opportunities I've had, and I was like, well, this can't be it. There clearly
Mhm.
is a long runway, as far as I know, ahead of myself, and I'd, like to keep doing things that keep my interest, keep me engaged, keep me passionate. And I
Mhm.
sort of, that's why I call it my professional midlife crisis. I just
Yeah.
needed to kind of shake things off and sort of replan.
well, I can really understand that. And I think that the shift that I've been trying to make, and this started a few years ago, is I started the process of not evaluating myself on productivity. That was kind of number one for me, because that is how I valued my
Mhm.
contribution, is what was my output. And so for me, the lesson there has been, I have been working more on where will my ideas, because I have 40 years of experience. So where can I hit the nail on the head where it will have the greatest impact? And certainly for me, that's been in raising up my leadership team so that I don't have to be involved in the day to day. So as you go through this midlife crisis, as you decide what the rest of your career is going to look like, what are some of the important lessons that you've learned that you feel our audience who's listening to us saying, this is not always a straight line? What lessons would you want to share with our audience?
So I think that what I've sort of taken to heart over all these years, and it's kind of probably one of the things I wish I figured out a little earlier, is, to me, the two most important things in business are people and our values.
Mhm.
And if we can focus on maintaining our values and living our values and making decisions and long-term and setting long-term strategy that's in line with our values, we will be successful. If we can keep the focus on our people, on our team, whether you're a sole proprietor and your people are your clients or your customers or your vendors or your colleagues who you partner with, or if you have a large team and your people are the people on your team with you in the trenches day to day, it's all about the people. And so understanding that they're people and the emotional component that goes with being people, Rachel, as you said, we're a hot mess on the inside, but we look great
Mhm.
on the outside. Well, that
Mhm.
pertains to everybody that, we cross paths in the business world. And that's paramount to me. And I've done other interviews and other podcasts where I've said, forego the profits for the people and the profits will come, and focus
Mhm.
on the people and forget the profits, and it will all work out in the end. And I am adamant about that. And I've sort of focused on that recently and for the future and what I'm planning on doing. And I just wish it was something that I had sort of clicked with me a little bit earlier.
What I love about that is I think that when you're in this, I don't know about you, but in this midlife professional crisis, I you start to think about like, what are you going to be remembered for? And do I want to be remembered for making a boatload of money, or do I want to be remembered for making people feel valued? And, changing your entire mindset around that, I think, is really important. The other thing that I found is that surrounding yourself with people like you, Donna, or who say, it's okay. You don't have to accomplish something today. You can just have a good day. You need people to tell you that every now and then, to remind you that it's not about, checking that box. It's about how the day was lived.
Yeah. And Sarah, I agree. And I think that, values and people are intrinsically linked because, and that was my journey as well, probably 10, 15 years into my 30 years. I realized that getting clear on my values and living them out loud was what I wanted to do going forward. And as I've sometimes said, lots of my success has been unintentional until it became strategic. So I get clear on my values and then I realize, oh, I have to live these out loud. And I did in a gazillion different ways. And what happened was it attracted like valued people into my stratosphere, which is super powerful. What was your process for getting clear on those values, and how are they showing up on a day-to-day basis for you?
Yeah, so it started for me with sort of realigning what my personal values were with what the values of the firm were, and making sure that my two partners were on the same page with me and with that thought process, because it takes a village. So it's not just me that has the bandwidth to do this within the firm. It comes from my two partners who are fantastic, and we all needed to be on that same page. So we kind of did a realignment. We do retreats twice a year on a planning basis anyway, and one of those retreats was dedicated solely to understanding what our values were, understanding what that meant, and understanding how we were going to weave those through the organization, through decisions we make, and not just frame them and stick them on the wall. And I think having that understanding and then communicating that continually through the organization is really where it solidified for us that, yeah, this is really what we need to be doing and this is the right way to go.
It's the
The other thing
behavior.
I want to say about values is not only does it help you to know what you're going to do, but it absolutely helps you to know what you're not going to do and who you won't work for. And that's kind of a nice place to be, is when you have a discovery call and you're like,
No,
not
thank you. Yeah. It is a nice feeling. So, Sarah, you were mentioning, on your journey to get here, you accomplished so much so fast. By the time you were 35, you were crushing, you were ruling the world. What would you, if you could go back and change something along that journey, what would you change? I'm assuming that journey wasn't all rainbows and sunshine either, right? Like there had to be some hard times in it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would make a decision differently. I think the thing that I wish may have been different would have been my level of patience with it. And when I was right out of college, I had a very good mentor who told me that life is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And that for me went in one ear and out the other.
Yep.
And I really didn't get that until probably the last 5 years, when I was like, okay, so I've been sprinting and this is what he meant. And I wish I took that in and understood that more, because I was fresh out of college when I got that advice. And it probably would have saved me a lot of burnout, a lot of anxiety, and kind of given me a more, not that it wasn't enjoyable, but a more enjoyable journey to have gone on in that time frame.
I hear that over and over again. And like it's like me telling my kids, don't jump off the couch, you're gonna hit your head. And until they jump off the couch and hit their head, they're gonna keep doing it. Like you have to just do it yourself and learn the hard way.
And I think too, as women, and my husband always reminds me of this, that we have to celebrate the successes, right? We grind to get to where we want to go. And then we get there and we're like, boom, what's the
Find
next
some
thing?
more. Yeah.
And he's like, well, can you take a beat and actually like toast to yourself for a minute and be happy and proud that you got to where you wanted to be, instead of, okay, now what? Okay, now what? And I think that is still something that I struggle to keep top of mind.
That's huge.
I think part of that, Sarah, is, surrounding yourself with people who help you to do the things that you're that you know you should do, but maybe you don't. And I think that surrounding yourself in particular, you know, with a table of women who tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, but, you know, point out those moments of celebration is really super important. So Sarah,
for all the men listening, you can surround yourself with a table of men also. It's just
yes, you can. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say that for me, you know, more often than not, I have had all different kinds of tables, but I think it's important for women to have women because as caretakers and often moms who are balancing still the primary responsibility, you know, men do lots more and there are far more equal partnerships than there were, but the truth is the default is we take responsibility whether it is ours or not. So I think it's important to do that. So Sarah, I love talking with you. I'm so amazed at all that you accomplished. And I know that as you go forward, you'll figure out what that next chapter is, and it'll be pretty amazing. So in the meantime, tell our audience how they can find you.
Sure. So you can go to our website, www.skcandco.com, or my email address is skrom@skcandco.com, or we can connect on LinkedIn.
Fabulous. Sarah, thank you for joining us. Thank you all for joining us. And until next time, we want to encourage you to embrace failing forward. There is so much to be learned from it. So until next time, take care, everyone.